With the 32nd overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs selected Ohio State left tackle Josh Simmons. And in this video, I'm going to do my best to predict his 2025 season and also talk about where he fits on this team in the future. But if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Michael Darcy and you are watching the KC Sports Report. Do me a huge favor and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more daily Chiefs coverage. Now, talking about the Josh Simmons pick, at the time I reacted to it on this channel, and I don't want to say that I was overly happy about it because I viewed this move as a, pick for the future. I don't think that Josh Simmons is someone that is going to play day one. I think he's probably a developmental tackle. You already signed Jalen Moore this offseason to be your starter, and so Josh Simmons seems to be a move for the future. And he kind of has to be a move for the future because he's not fully healthy. He's still trying to recover from a patellar tendon injury, which had him basically miss almost the entirety of at least half of, his last season at Ohio State. And so I'm not sure if he even was good enough to play. He could play day one. I think that he's probably going to need some time to come back from that knee injury. And we're going to talk about the severity of a patellar tendon injury in a couple of minutes because it's not like an ACL. It's not like a broken arm. You just can't come back from it and expect to be okay. We're actually going to go ahead and talk about, how bad that injury is for football players and how most guys don't end up being the same player. But before I do that, I kind of want to talk about why I think this pick could be good for the future and why I'm not as down on it as I was when they first made it. I think the Chiefs were so sick and tired of having a bad, offensive line, having just instability at the left tackle position. They said to themselves, if Josh Simmons falls to the end of the first round, we are going to take a big time swing and try to get our left tackle of the future. And this is a big gamble. I don't want to make this seem like this is a home run pick. There is still a great deal of risk that is involved in Josh Simmons. I think that, he's got potential to be a great player, but there's also potential that he ends up being a complete bust. And that's kind of the risk the Chiefs have been willing to take. And at the end of the first round, with the Chiefs being in the position that they're in, they can afford to take that gamble. But I also think that the fact the Chiefs traded back one spot with the Eagles going from pick 31 to pick 32 and securing a 5th round draft pick for just moving back one spot, I think that makes drafting Josh Simmons even better because, you got draft capital for taking your potential left tackle of the future. And that's just a great move. That's Brett Veach, pulling off a shrewd business deal with Howie Roseman. But I do think that we have to view Simmons as a 2026 player and not a 2025 player. Unless Jalen Moore is, Kingsley Suamataia 2.0, where he gets injured, Simmons probably isn't going to play a snap in 2025. Or maybe they move him over to right tackle, but you have Jawan Taylor. So it's really depending on, if a guy stays healthy, if he gets injured, does Simmons have to step in, in I guess, relief of one of those guys? But I think that the Chiefs are very comfortable with letting Simmons take a gap here, letting him sit behind Jalen Moore, letting him have, offensive line coach Andy Heck coach him up for a year. And maybe the Chiefs will have some long-term stability because, you basically have, after this, I guess, redshirt year, 4 years of Josh Simmons because you did draft him in the first round. There is that 5th year option. So assuming that he ends up being a solid player, you're going to have him for 4 years, and that's after he redshirts his freshman season, his rookie season. But I want to go ahead and just show some highlights of Josh Simmons. This is him playing partly last year, partly the year beforehand. You can just see that he is so good in the running game, and you see him get downfield here where he's able to kind of just pull in space and just completely bully that Missouri Tiger. And I just like the way that, he gets physical in the running game because the Chiefs want to run the ball more. And now they have someone that they think they can do that with. I mean, look at this seal right here. What a gap for the running back. I believe that's actually, is that Quinshon Judkins? We should have taken him. But he's also someone that I think showed you, he's also solid in pass protection. I think that there will be some pass pro, stuff on here. Really good in space. I mean, that's a long time to throw the football. And I do think, again, there is risk associated with taking Josh Simmons, but is he more risky than taking, like a Felix? Like, the Chiefs have taken so many players in the first round, and some of them have worked out, like, George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie, and some of them just haven't. And so if the Chiefs found the long-term solution at left tackle, this was absolutely an A+. It's an A++. And a lot of the consensus around Josh Simmons is that give him time to come back from that injury, and he was a top, maybe the best tackle in the draft. Like, if he was someone that was healthy, let's just say that he did not get injured in 2024, he probably would have been a top 5 pick. He's the best left tackle in the draft, or he would have been if he didn't get injured, and the Chiefs got that player at pick 32 with the final pick in the first round. And I think that's just kind of the risk the Chiefs are willing to take. If they can get him back to, that Ohio State level, the Chiefs have a draft steal. That's a big question mark at this point, but I'm just saying that if he is able to go back to his former glory, the Chiefs got a good pick. I think that's just a big if at this point. I want to talk a little bit about his injury history and what a patellar tendon injury is like for an NFL player and how it affects them, and we're going to do that right after this ad break. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be. With over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, and a new ESPN Bet Sportsbook, there are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow them on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Huge shout out to the Hollywood Casino for sponsoring this channel all off season long. But getting back into the main portion of this video, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to this Twitter post. This is coming from Dr. Jesse Morse, and he kind of does write-ups on all the players with an injury history. And he said, returning from a patellar tendon tear and subsequent repair, a study came out in February of 2025 reviewing 80 NFL players with quadriceps and patellar tendon repairs. What does the data show? The risk for patellar tendon injury was higher for offensive linemen compared to other position groups, and that makes sense. When you're bigger, you're going to sustain more injuries, and when you're 300 plus pounds, your legs are probably the first things to go. Now, this is interesting. That means that 45% of the NFL players who suffered a patellar tendon tear never returned to the field. Never mind return to previous level or elite level, which is a really big thing. Patellar tendon injuries summarized, more common in offensive line, worse return to play rate than quadriceps tear. 45% never return to play after injury, worse rate of return prior performance, slower rate of return to performance versus a quadricep tear. All in all, patellar tendon injuries are very tough injuries to return from, but I wish Josh Simmons the best of luck in his recovery and serving as an elite protection option for Mahomes. I think the biggest quote that we have to talk about, that means that 45% of NFL players who suffer a patellar tendon tear never return to the field. Never return. So 45% of the athletes that suffer this type of injury never play the sport again. And that is a giant gamble. And that's why when we talk about, how risky this pick was, that's the risk. It's not that Josh Simmons doesn't end up being a good player. I know there were some character concerns around him. The question is that knee going to be good enough? Is it going to hold up? Rick Burkholder and Brett Veach seemed to come to the agreement that it was okay. And Rick Burkholder is the Chiefs' head athletic trainer, and he basically said that, the knee is okay. And I think he was impressed with how he's been able to recover thus far. But again, you're taking a substantial gamble, assuming that he is going to be able to come back at all. Like, Josh Simmons is no guarantee to play, and that's why he fell in the first round. Players are not going to go very high if they don't have a chance to ever hit the field. And so you saw Josh Simmons fall for that reason. Josh Connerly Jr., who was the worst prospect, he went earlier on. Kelvin Banks Jr., he's solid. He's not Josh Simmons. You saw the reason that Josh Simmons fell, and it's because of that patellar tendon. So I think he is definitely a 2026 player if he does end up playing at all. But I do want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. What do you think of Simmons as a prospect? Are you worried about this knee injury? Or do you think this is something that won't affect him in the long run? I'm a little bit hesitant to say that it won't affect him in the long run. Even if he's able to come back and be solid, there's no guarantee that he's going to be anything like what he was before the injury. And that's just the risk that Brett Veach and this front office decided to take. So do let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'll be very interested to hear what you guys have to say. That's all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Chiefs.